The story of how Kibaki stole an election against Jael Mbogo in 1969 is one that many find hard to believe, but that doesn't mean it did not happen. In 1969, there was a local election in Kenya where legislators defended or sought new seats across the country except the presidency. Kibaki, nearly 40 years of age then, was bound to defend his parliamentary seat in what was now Bahati constituency in Nairobi, formerly named John Home. Kibaki was soft-spoken, smart, and close to the titanic trio of Jomo Kenyatta, Jaramogi Odinga, and Tom Mboya. However, there was a problem. The election was happening on the background of the first post-independence tribal conflict in Kenya. The country was divided by the assassination of Tom Mboya earlier that July, and Luos believed Kikuyus around Kenyatta, arguably Kenyatta himself, had killed Tom, so he could not become president. In Nairobi, Tom Mboya was the most popular politician, hands down. From his trade union days as a young man, Tom had done a great lot for the people and workers of Nairobi even before the colonialists had left. That earned him a lot of political mileage inside the city limits. After the evacuation of Kikuyus, Embu, and Merus by General Askin during the Operation Anvil of the 1950s emergency period, most of the African working force in Nairobi were tribesmen from the west and people of the Kamba tribe. That had not changed much by the end of the independence decade. The murder of Tom Mboya by the Kiambu Mafia allegedly lost Kibaki considerable support in Bahati constituency and Nairobi at large. To add salt to this 50-year-old injury, Kenyatta picked Kibaki to inherit Mboya's Ministry of Economic Planning shortly after the assassination. Not just that, Jael Mbogo, a Luo woman, a formidable Luo woman, had been the first African woman to work as a typist in City Hall, Nairobi. She was as smart as Kibaki and she wanted a seat in parliament. Jael Mbogo launched a scathing campaign against Kibaki and Kanu, and her message resonated deep with many non-Kikuyus in the city. By election day, it was common news that Jael Mbogo would run Kibaki out of town, despite the Makerere scholar being one of Kenyatta's cabinet ministers. Kibaki seemed to be aware of this fact, but as Jael Mbogo told the British Guardian in 2008, nobody suspected the meek Kibaki would play fall on the ballot box, but he was just about to. Because of the Tom Mboya assassination and the growing rift between Kenyatta and Jaramogi, the 1969 general election attracted large international media attention. By the close of election day, the British Broadcasting Corporation BBC caught the Bahati constituency election. They predicted that a young woman was about to fell a government minister, referring to Kibaki's imminent defeat on the vote. However, when the ballot arrived at the final tallying center, a heavy police presence censored the number of people who could witness the count. This was unusual. The Bahati constituency tallying was delayed for days after election day, with Kibaki being announced winner in the end. Jael Mbogo and other opposition players present in that election knew they had been played by Kibaki and his Kanu friends. Ms. Mbogo told the Guardian newspaper that Kibaki's non-confrontational demeanor had made him an unlikely rigging suspect in the eyes of many. Jael Mbogo was being interviewed after the 2008 post-election violence erupted. However, the story of these two does not end with the 1969 election. After losing to Kibaki, Jael Mbogo remained on the ground, galvanizing her support for the 1974 general elections. Meanwhile, despite Kibaki's many efforts as finance minister, the government he served continued to lose popularity amongst his constituents in Nairobi, and Kibaki knew his goose was cooked. When the campaign period approached again in 1974, Jael Mbogo hit the ground running, launching a bid stronger than she had in 1969 and arguably one stronger than Kibaki's. Kibaki, who had pinned all his hopes on impressing voters with his achievements as an economist, decided it was time to run. He announced that he would no longer be running for elective post in Nairobi, but instead, he would seek to represent his home constituency of Othaya in Nyeri. Running the big minister out of town attracted fresh eyes from Kanu government for Jael Mbogo. When the vote was cast, she was once again rigged out of the 1974 election in favor of the Kanu candidate, a trend that continued until she gave up entirely on elected office.